Hey everyone, this is Rock from StageandSky.com, and we need to have a quick discussion about baby mama culture, alright? Because it's going around, like, ever since, I would say, Naomi Osaka got pregnant, Keke Palmer got pregnant, and then we saw the Super Bowl where Rihanna is getting pregnant. You know, like, and all these women, they're not married. They're having children outside of wedlock. And, of course, Sierra just put out a little teaser talking about independent. This is for the independent women. This is for the independent women who don't need a man. And there's a lot of discussion going on out there. So what I'm going to do is present a video of a woman, presenting her arguments about how it's kind of men's fault. And men do play a part, don't get me wrong. But also I'm going to break down each one of her arguments. And I'm going to try to do so with love and kindness, because people need to understand why this is a problem. Baby mama culture is a problem. I know a lot of people think, oh, well, there's no big deal. Even my dad, he asked when we were talking about Naomi Osaka, he's like, well, if, both people are there, I don't understand why they need to be married. And when you don't have the wisdom, when you don't have the knowledge or the history to educate you on why it is a problem, yeah, you would have that attitude. So before I play the video, I want you guys to keep something in mind, okay? Because when it comes to having children, all of this is about children. It's about families, the lack of black families, the lack of stable black families. Here's something to keep in mind. If you had an opportunity to give your children the best opportunity in life, would you take it, right? If statistically it's better for a child to grow up in a stable, married, two-parent household, why wouldn't you give that to your child? And the last statement here is because very often you see single moms post about their pictures and their babies, and they're beautiful babies. And I'm super glad that, they were able to conceive and give life, but they'll say something like, I'm going to give my child the world. And of course you have commenters who, sadistically or sardonically say, well, you want to give them the world, but not, a father in the household. Just keep that in mind, okay? So let's play this video.
A lot of men out there that believe that single mothers should lower their standards because they also believe the false premise that our standards were low before we ended up having a baby by someone who did not marry us. It never occurs to these men that something must have been really wrong for the relationship to be over. No single mother pitched a tent in front of Target at 3 a.m. so she can stand in line on Black Friday to make sure she bought single motherhood at discount prices. This is not something we wanted to do. I apologize. I'm sorry you a little bit confused, but there's no way in hell I'm gonna lower my standards after the last man I dated didn't live up to them. Y'all act like y'all know zero about growth. You're thinking in the back of your mind, oh, you should have picked the right man the first time. That's not how that works, sir. You really think a man who is manipulative, a liar, and a cheater got a neon sign on his forehead that say, don't with me? I'm sorry, that's not how that works. Most men who ain't are not just gonna walk up to a woman and say, I ain't have my baby. I take accountability all day for making a poor choice in a man. And in order for me to continue to do so, I have to prove that I learned the lesson by setting the boundaries and having the higher standards. That's how we show that we're not going to make the same mistake twice.
So if you see that video, I'm pretty sure you guys can tell that this woman comes from a good place, right? She's not attacking men or assaulting men, even though she does lay a lot of blame on men. I think it comes from a good place. Like, she needs someone in her life to just listen to her arguments and just break down, just to explain, okay, I hear what you're saying, but here's another perspective. This is all this video is. All right, when she talks about standards and she says, oh, we're not going to lower our standards because our standards were low when we got with these bad men, I don't think she understands what we're talking about when we say lower your standards to ladies, right? A lot of women, I mean, just check out this clip.
If your wife can spend more than you make, like you need to make more money, 150, maybe to 250,000 a year would be comfortable for sure.
300,000, like, I guess if they made less than that, I feel like we wouldn't have the lifestyle I wanted, so I would work. Life's expensive.
Anywhere from 70 to 100K.
I would have to say 127.
$500,000.
Is that bad?
Probably 150 to $250,000 a year.
right? These ladies are straight out of college, right? And they're in their early 20s, and they have this high standard about the kind of man that they want. When Kevin Samuels was alive, they would talk about, oh, I want a man who's 6 figures and, you know, he's 6 feet tall and, you know, he has 6-pack abs and he's a high value man. And it's Kevin Samuels' version of what a high value man is, not what God's version, but Kevin Samuels. I point out the difference between God's version and Kevin Samuels' version because being a high value man in Kevin's eyes doesn't mean you're a good man. You know, like you could be a high value man and just be the ain't-ish person that these ladies are talking about. When we say lower your standards, we're not talking about the quality of a good man, right? A responsible man who's going to sit there and take care of you, provide for the family, and, you know, take care of your children, because the responsible man is not going to get you pregnant in the first place. You know, so when we say lower your standards, we're talking about the 6 figures and 6-pack abs and 6 feet tall. There are a lot of good men out there who make like 40 to 50K a year. They're good men. They provide stable lifestyles. They go on vacations every year. Those are the men that we're telling you, hey, lower your standards, your high standards when it comes to materialism and resources and money and all that, for these good men out here who will provide a good life. They don't live in a ghetto, you know. That's what we're talking about when it comes to lower your standards. Let's go to the next point.
Most men who ain't are not just gonna walk up to a woman and say, I ain't have my baby. I take accountability all day.
Because we're not buying it. The whole men don't come with a warning sign. That's just a way to dodge accountability for the fact that you messed up and picked the wrong person. No, we all know the truth of what's happening. It's all about you. When you get with these men, you're not thinking about, man, I can't wait to start a family with them. You're thinking to yourself, dude, I feel good when I'm around him, and you want to get bedded down. That's basically it. You know, you're not thinking about your children, and then when you do mess up and he doesn't stick around, when you knew that would probably happen, this is where you want to blame the men and say, oh, well, you know, we got to go through these tough times and we have to make these mistakes in order to grow. No, not everyone needs to go through all that to grow. You know, I think Kendra G said it best, you know, where you know you're not supposed to be whoring around.
Listen, let me tell y'all something. It's not something y'all going through. Women intrinsically understand that we are not to be hoeing. Women know that. Women know inside of ourselves without nobody never telling us. We know that sleeping with a bunch of dudes lowers our value in the eyes of those men. We feel it in our heart. We feel it.
So when I say that she's telling on herself a little bit, because the children, it's sad to say, like, you don't want to say that the children are a mistake, but ladies, and you have children from the wrong man who ain't ish and he's not sticking around. Like Erykah Badu has multiple children with different baby daddies. And women aren't the only one guilty of this, right? We know NBA Youngboy, we know Nick Cannon. I just found out yesterday about Young Thug, rappers who made, you know, it's like they're perpetuating the stereotypes, right? Where their fathers weren't raised in the household, so they pass down their message of the streets and hood culture. And then you have these young boys who grew up without fathers listening to that, and they just repeat the cycle. The same with single mothers. You look at that CBS video from the 80s, you know, you hear them talk.
The rest of you who don't plan to get married, why don't you plan to get married? I'd like to know that.
You already have your child to think about, and then a whole family to care for. You know, it's a lot of responsibility.
I wouldn't want no man holding me down because I think I can make it as a single parent.
But don't you think you might need help in raising that baby from a man?
Not really. I didn't have a father. My father wasn't in the home, so, you know, it really, male figures are not substantially important in the family.
Oh, I saw my mother do it, so they repeat the same cycle. It's gotten so bad that I've actually seen video clips of black women early 20s talk about some.
I got no kids. I got my own motion going on.
Flag.
Huh?
What?
Go ahead.
Nah, go ahead. What you about to say?
Listen, I know like having sex before marriage is bad, but it's 2022. Like, what has gone on in your life that you have not had a kid?
I don't have kids.
You're different. Like, but for men, it's just kind of like, why don't you have a kid? What happens?
Because I don't want a kid yet.
Maybe
I'm responsible.
It's the same with another woman who said, and this is a white woman who said, yeah, if he's not sleeping around with other women, then I'm thinking there's something wrong with him. I'm like, this is how backwards our society's gotten, where if you don't act immorally, if you don't act irresponsibly, they think something's wrong with you. Not all women are like this. Not all men are like this. Stay away from these people. 2 Timothy chapter 3. You know, like it says that in the end times, people will be like this, lovers of self. Avoid these people. Ladies, the reason why we get on you guys for picking the wrong man is because there are warning signs, there are red flags. Not to mention, you got to figure, most people have people in their lives that say, hey, he cheated on so-and-so. Hey, he just wants you for your body. All the guys in your friend zone, someone's told you, hey, that guy's a piece of crap. But because, oh, well, I can change him. Oh, I'm different. I'm not like these other girls that he was messing around with.
You stay with a cheating millionaire boyfriend or be with a broke, loyal guy? Keep it 100, man.
That's a hard one, huh?
Keep it 100.
I'll take the millionaire that cheats.
I'm taking the cheater too.
Yeah.
Because we living good.
Yeah.
And this shows, y'all, this shows that if a man's value is high enough, he will be shared.
You know, so you just go in and you have sex, you have a kid with them outside of wedlock, and now you're having. The reason why we get on women is because you guys are the ones who bear the most responsibility when it comes to bearing children. When it comes to the act of procreation, a man's act is less than minutes. It takes seconds sometimes. Women, your role in reproduction, it takes 9 months. So it takes a longer toll on your body, and then when the child is born, it's indisputably yours. Whereas most men out here, especially these days, you never know. Like the paternity, that's why a lot of people are calling for mandatory paternity tests. So when we get on women about this and we put most of the responsibility on the blame and the onus on women, is because it's mostly your bodies, right? There are good men out there who would be awesome fathers. A lot of us, myself, ever since I was 16, I wanted to be a father. I wanted to have children, but I wanted to do it the right way, the proper way, right? So I resisted a lot of promiscuous women who wanted to have sex outside of wedlock because I knew that was the wrong thing to do. For me, it was always important to get married to the woman before I have children, before I have sex. And because so many, they've already had sex in their teens or in their early 20s, they look at me like, oh, he's a stick in the mud. He's boring. He's weird, you know? So that's why a lot of us guys, we just don't buy it. We just don't buy it when we hear people say, oh, this guy, he didn't have a warning sign to say he ain't. Like, dude, I refuse to believe that people didn't have one person, you know, at least a few people just telling them, hey, what you're doing is wrong. You shouldn't be sleeping with that guy. You know, he sleeps around. Hey, you know, if you have sex with them, you know, if you have sex outside of wedlock, that's bad. But just even on the first couple of dates, that's not good, you know? Like, at some point, people need to take more than just say, oh, I have accountability. Accountability is wisdom. Like, accountability as in, I was a stupid and I made a dumb choice. I engaged in horrible behavior, because that's not what we're seeing. What we're seeing is Rihanna. We're seeing Naomi Osaka. We're seeing Keke Palmer, and they're glamming up. You know, they're, oh, look at us. You know, we're beautiful. You know, we have our babies. And it's like, yeah, but you're not special enough to get married. Like, we don't buy it when it comes to being a baby mama also, because what does that mean that you're good enough to have your man right there taking pictures with you, you know, so you're having children with him, but he's not going to marry you? What does that say about you? What does it say about the culture? You know, what it tells me is that it's not about what's best for the children. It's about what's best for you. You know, you can make all the excuses in the world. You can say, oh, it's 2023 and whatever, but it's all about you. I'm going to avoid you. That's what the Bible tells me, because it's self-love. You're just selfish. You're selfish. And I say that with love because a lot of people, I mean, chastisement is a form of love. You know, like everyone who's growing up and they don't know this, if this is the first time you're hearing someone tell you this, you know, this is a form of love, you know, because I think it's a wicked thing to let you go on believing whatever you want to believe for the feels, and because when people want to hurt your feelings, it's like, nah, son. You know, a good love is when you see someone walking towards that pit of vipers and you say, hey, I know you're free to do whatever you want to do, but I gotta tell you, if you walk that way, there's vipers in there, you're gonna get bit, you're probably gonna lose your limbs, and, you know, your testicles gonna drop off. I'm not sure. There's a snake that does that. I do want to give kudos to the women, because there are a lot of good women out there who did call out Sierra when she posted those lyrics. There are a lot of women saying, hey, no, I do want a man.
This is embarrassing to watch a married woman sing a song like this. You do not care about the black women in your community. You could easily make love songs since you are in love with your husband, but you are purposefully choosing to make a song that will encourage the women in our community to stay single because you know that's what sells and makes money. Another says this is cap. Girl, you don't need a man, says the girl with a big rock on her ring finger. Another says, okay, I love you, CC, but you're married now. Let's change the narrative. We do need men, and it's not always about money. You are a family woman. Sing about that. Encourage a generation of wives and mothers.
And then dude, you'd be hard pressed to find good men who say to themselves, no, I don't need a woman. You know, like, I mean, when people say, oh, you just looking for a mother, you're looking for someone to be your mother. We're looking for women who have motherly qualities, you know? So in the beginning, as we're dating you, we're looking to see, do you take care of others? Are you self-sacrificing? Do you know how to put others before yourself? If you don't have those qualities, if you're, I gotta love myself first, there's a video I have down. I'll have the link down below. Check that out, because that's not the way it is. If you're Christian, there's a scripture in 1 John that says, we love because God first loved us, right? So it's not about, you gotta love yourself first. We know how to love because God loves us, you know? So the whole, love yourself, that's a fallacy. That's just a satanic tactic to get everyone to stop thinking about others and worry about yourself and only yourself. I'm not talking about letting everyone stomp all over you, because people go to that hyperbole right away. I'm talking about, okay, take care of yourself, but know how to treat others, know how to love others, know how to sacrifice and give for others, because that's what men are looking for. But when it comes to baby mama culture, I do give kudos to a lot of women who are basically calling out these celebrities. The only sad part about all of this is that I do wonder, and I fear that it's just gonna fall on deaf ears. Because all these older ladies who are calling out Ciara for the bad message that she's pushing down, you got to figure when those ladies, the ladies who are calling her out, because you look at on YouTube or Twitter, the ladies who are calling out Ciara, they're now in their mid to late 30s and 40s. And it's like, ladies, if you don't know, you have a biological clock on your womb, you know, having children. Like, I wish those ladies had learned that lesson in their 20s, where they're at the peak of their sexual market value, where they're at the most beautiful, where they were the most fertile, you know, the time of their lives, you know. And you got to figure, man, it's like, when they were in their 20s, they probably got the same message from older ladies saying, hey, no, don't mess around, don't have fun, don't find yourself, which is code word for sleeping around and find the guy who gives you, lays it down right. Basically what I fear is that the cycle is never going to end. It's just going to keep perpetuating itself, because the peer pressure of social media is so strong. You know, when you're in your early 20s, you see people making money on OnlyFans. You see people, the culture, and men are guilty of this too, where they expect sex after the first couple of dates. You know, it's like a lot of people, they just don't have the strength and discipline to say no, to do the right thing. And yeah, I know you have the aunties out there telling you, hey, don't do that. You know, wait for the right man. The right man, the responsible one, is going to wait until marriage to have sex. And, it's like, oh, well, that guy looks like Idris Elba or Michael B. Jordan, and if he, if I don't give it up to him, I'm gonna lose him to the other woman who's gonna give, it's like, seek first the kingdom of heaven and all things will be added unto you, right? Seek first the kingdom and all things will be added unto you. That's Matthew chapter 6 verse 33, right? If you have discipline, if you have patience, you look for the good men who are out there, that man will marry you, that man will have children with you, and you will provide that child with the best possible chances of succeeding in life, because that's the whole point of marriage. That's the whole point of reproduction, right? So for all the ladies out there who want to give their children the world, who want their children to succeed, it's always been an imperative of the spouse, of the women, to pick the mate. Like horses, gorillas, lions, they always pick the mate that would give their children the best chances of survival and doing well in life. I do encourage more and more women and men to stop engaging in the hookup culture. Wait till marriage to have sex. Pick the right man. And one of the benefits of waiting until marriage to have sex is because you're not going to be so blinded by sex that you're going to ignore the red flags, right? Like, you're going to see them, you're going to take them in consideration, and you're going to ask yourself, do I enjoy being around this person? Is this person responsible? Does he know how to take care of himself in his world and, save up? Like, you're going to be asking yourself that question, because a lot of people who engage in the hookup culture, they know the answer to these questions, but because they're having sex and the sex feels so good to them, they ignore all of that, which is why we call you guys selfish. You're not thinking about your children, you're thinking about yourselves. Oh, well, I don't need to be married to have a child. Yeah, but it gives your child the best possible chances at success in life. Oh, well, but that doesn't mean they're automatically going to fail. That's not the point. That's not the point. If you had to choose point A that gives them the best chance of life, or point B that has a higher risk of teen pregnancy, addiction, prison, like which choice would you pick? And if you pick this, why are you picking this? Like, come on, you cannot be so narrow-minded or just a straight up in denial that you're thinking only of yourself. So for the lady the lady, and she, again, that video where she's talking about all men are dastardly and they're, I guess master con men, I do encourage for her to lower her standards, because she's like most guys who are, work their butts off in their 20s to build something of themselves. We're not looking to start pre-made families, unless one, she's drop dead like a 10 out of 10. And when we meet this child is an angel, right? Like, you'll have men who are like that, who are like, dude, this child is a good child. I want to protect and provide for this child. This woman is smoking hot, and our chemistry is off the charts. We get along so well. You'll have men, they're not settling. We see, okay, this is a good match for us. Get the whole settling out of your head. It's about, is this a good match for us? For a lot of us men who bust our ass through our 20s and we're now in our 30s, we're well established. We have our own homes, good credit scores. We're looking to get married. We're not checking for women like the woman in this video. She looks like, if Kevin Samuels was here, he would drop a lot of truths on her that, if I were to do it, you would say, oh, you're just mean and you're picky and superficial. Yeah, men are superficial. So are women, oh, your egos, like everyone has an ego. Okay. All right. So I'm just rambling at this point. I hope that this helped. Feel free to like, share, comment. I hope it also comes off like I'm trying to help. I'm not just trying to bash, but a lot of people, because they're so, repulsed by constructive criticism, that everything, hey, this is what you should be doing. You're bashing. Oh, or a lot of people, they'll say, oh, you're talking about the black community. I'm like, yeah, it's concentrated there. How many times do you hear, again, white celebrities having children outside of wedlock, or, white songs, like country songs talking about drive-bys? Like, the culture needs to change. And then I'm talking about the culture, I'm talking about the specific part of the culture, because obviously black people are not monolith, everyone's different. All right. Thank you for watching.